Hey, let's start with another session. Say you are planning to design a website for your business. Now, you need to have a basic wireframe or layout with properly positioned elements to grab the attention of your visitors. This session begins with just that. It tells you about wireframes and explains their importance with the example of an e-commerce website. Next, it talks about placeholders and how they can be used to place elements such as texts, images, and more on your web page. Then, it gives the names of wireframe creating web designing tools like Figma. Following this, you learn about website mockups and how they represent the actual website structure. Then, it mentions a few web designing tools like Wix, WordPress, etc. that can be used for creating such mockups for your website. Next, it explains the process of navigation across a web page and explains the different types of navigation using buttons, links, hyperlinks, etc. It then explains the guidelines for creating a graphical layout for your web page using factors like eye movement, that is, scanning across your web page, positioning of elements on your web page such as banners, texts, images, buttons, links, readability, etc. Further, it explains a sitemap and gives a list of do's and don'ts for the creation of your website layout. Thus, designing your web page with proper elements to increase your website traffic is a very important part of making your website popular. Hence, wait no more and use these guidelines to create an attractive web page for your visitors that would easily promote your website.
Wireframe. Before you start designing a website directly using a web designing tool, you can start with a website layout or wireframe design. A website layout is the foundation of a website. The positioning of texts and elements significantly impacts the viewers visiting the website. Suppose you are designing an e-commerce website. You need to place the shopping cart icon, promotional offers, product information and purchase button in a way that the user may not have to struggle to find them. The information should be provided in such a way that it engages the visitors and showcase the branding. Page margins, font choice, size and color, word and character spacing, and placement of all graphic elements are the other essential things that give your website a vibrant and engaging look. A website wireframe is a design outline to indicate where all the elements are going to get placed. Let's take an example. This is a wireframe of a website. Here, there are multiple placeholders. Each of these placeholders will contain an element such as text boxes, images, videos, pictures, buttons or any other content that goes into a website. These placeholders help in designing an actual website. The motto of using a wireframe is to have a fixed layout and then work on designing elements accordingly. There are tools like Figma, Adobe XD, etc. to design website wireframes. We will learn about the most used tool for wireframing, which is Figma. Mockup. Once a wireframe is ready, you can design a website mockup. A website mockup is a prototype of an actual website. About 90% gets completed in a mockup. It is used to show how the actual website is going to be to the client. Website mockups are collaborative outputs for the client and the company. You can design a website mockup using a wireframe designing tool as well as web designing tools like WordPress, Xero, Wix, etc. Navigation is the process of directing the user from one place to another. In a website, when we use the word navigation, it includes the process of directing the visitor to the website from one web page to another, as well as directing his eye a moment within the page. In a website, the web pages are connected to other web pages. This connection is done in different ways. One of the ways is by using buttons. When the visitor clicks on the button, it opens the web page that is related to the icon or text shown on the button. Another way to navigate is by using links. When the visitor clicks on a link, it opens the web page related to the link. Just like buttons and links, you can add a hyperlink to images also. When you click on the image, a new website or another web page of the same website will be opened. There is no standard format for a layout. It can change according to the subject and the person who's creating the web page. Some important guidelines for creating a graphical layout are as follows. Eye movement. When the visitor views the website for the first time, he doesn't read the content, he just scans the web page. According to human psychology, it is observed that he scans in some patterns as shown. The eye movement of the reader goes in a Z shape. That is, the readers start from the top left corner to the top right corner, and then diagonally towards the bottom left corner to the bottom right corner. The reader starts scanning the web page, picking up chunks from the displayed page. You can refer to this link: http://www.smashingmagazine.com/2008/01/10 Principles of Effective Web Design. Research shows that a part colored in red is scanned quickly than the yellow part, and then the blue part is scanned by the reader. Positioning. Another important point is the positioning of the elements in the web page. The elements can be textual information, buttons and links, graphics, GIF animations, videos, banner advertisements, etc. Let's start with the informational content. The information fills a major part in the layout of the web page. It has to be maintained in such a way that it does not look scattered all over the page. For the readability of the website, margins are used. Margins and alignments make the visitor read comfortably. Text presentation on the web page can make or break its reliability. For example, when you read a newspaper, it is laid out in narrow columns with margins, making it easier to read. Execute margins in a way that would prevent eye strain for your visitors. After the information, the positions of the buttons and links are taken into consideration. Human psychology says that while reading in most of the languages, the reader reads from left to right and from top to bottom. If the buttons are placed on the left or at the top of the web page, it will be easy for the visitor to locate them and reach his destination. Also, if the size of the web page is more than the size of the screen, the visitor will need to scroll it to the right or to the bottom to search the buttons if they are not correctly placed. This is why buttons are usually placed at the top or the left. In the same way, links should also be positioned in the correct manner. While creating a website, you should make sure that the visitor is going in the correct direction to reach his destination. Some points to keep in mind are: the link for the home page should be available at a glance on all the web pages. It is inconvenient for the user to click on the back button a dozen times to reach the home page. The links for the main web pages should be made easily available on all sub-pages. To make it more easy to navigate to different portions of the web page, you can even add links within the page. Similarly, you can add links for the main pages at the bottom of the web page. These are called breadcrumbs. In this way, it becomes easier for a visitor to navigate within the site. Clear idea of the location. Being a web designer, you should be able to tell a visitor where he is on the website. Where did he come from and what are the options available for him to view on your website? You can do that by adding a navigation bar either on the top of the website or at some place on the web page where he looks frequently. It can be positioned according to the layout of the web page. The navigation bar looks somewhat like a link for the website, which keeps on progressing in the address bar as you view more pages. It means that if you click on any navigation beach number, the link in the address bar changes consequently. For example, if you click on the page to or next in the navigation bar, then the link in the address bar will also change and display your page number and other details related to your web page content. Banners and pop-up ads are usually positioned at the topmost central region of a web page. They may also be placed at the right or left side of your web page in between your text and image content or at the bottom of your web page. Banner advertisements on the web page are created using GIF animations and images. Sometimes sound effects are also added in the banner advertisements. These are useful in attracting the visitors towards the service being provided. You can use pop-ups to advertise supplementary products or display related information. Some sites use pop-up windows to provide shopping information, stock graphs, etc. Whatever graphics you plan to use in your website should be clean and simple. They should not be flashy and distract your visitor. Your images should match the background of the web page. Graphics should be suggestive of the information you're trying to communicate. Make sure that the size of the graphics is not too large. The visitors should not need to scroll the web page to make a complete view of the graphic. Choosing the correct combination of colors is very important. Don't use bright colors or too much contrast between the colors. A well-planned layout and proper use of colors gives the website its personality and image. While choosing colors, it's a fact that the human eye cannot focus on red and blue at the same time. For example, if you try to read red type on a blue background or vice versa, it causes extreme eye fatigue or strain. A sitemap is a web page which shows the connectivity of the links and sublinks. Do's and don'ts while planning your website layout. Do's: know your product. Analyze your visitors. Ensure your site is visually pleasing. Be clear about the concept. Use simple images and graphics. Keep your site user-friendly. Be consistent throughout the site. Don'ts: don't guess who the visitors are. Don't get too technical. See to it that the visitors don't get irritated. Don't repeat the same information. Don't keep content that isn't being read. Don't hide contact information. Don't use multiple fonts. Avoid slow-loading graphics.
Good. You seem to have enough knowledge about web designing. Can you tell me what a domain name is?
Yes, it is a website address or link using which we can open the website. If we want to develop a website, we need to purchase a domain name as well.
Hello, how are you doing? Let's continue to learn. Nowadays, creating a website for your client involves a lot of planning and understanding your client's needs. This session begins with this important part of a website, that is, client interaction. It then explains the target audience and gives guidelines to identify them. Following this, it explains web hosting, how it works, and gives a list of some web host providers. Next, you learn about sitemaps and their importance and types. Then, you learn about marketing plans and feedback. Moving ahead, it explains visual mind maps and their roles in planning the website layout. Next, it defines terms like Google AdWords, Google Analytics, etc. Further, it defines a timeline, explains the process of creating one, and gives its role in website building. Finally, it sums up the process of collecting information from sources like Shutterstock, iStock, etc. Hence, use these guidelines to build and plan your website and create a highly engaging web page for your clients or for yourself.
You've already learned about the fundamentals for creating a website and the way to choose appropriate color schemes for the text, images, backgrounds, etc. So now it's possible for you to start working on your website. Starting work on the websites does not mean jumping on the computer and opening up Dreamviewer. It needs a lot of planning. The first and foremost step in beginning to plan for website would be to have a meeting with the person for whom you're creating the website. You may be creating the website for yourself or for a client. If the website is for a client, you will need to discuss his requirements and ask him some questions such as the following ones. What are your goals? What do you know about your target audience? How much textual information will the website contain? What kind of images will be added in the website? Whether banner advertisements are to be added? What should be the content of the enquiry forms? How navigation between pages is to be done? According to the briefing provided by the client, you can start the preparation. While preparing, you need to list the goals outlined by the client for creating a website. The list of the goals should include some of the following points. The goal should represent the client's objective. The goal should be specific. Being specific means the goal should not be the client wants to create a website. It should be client wants to create a website for the central mall. You should be able to visualize the website. Try to write down all the points you find necessary for the website. If possible, try to sketch them. The website should be able to clearly hold the end user, understand the subject or services being provided. You can take the help of the different website technologies. A web developer should know about web development frameworks that help them to design dynamic web applications. The evolving web technologies like API-first developments, serverless architecture, motion UI, media.js, progressive web app, etc. help the developers to maintain and improve web design. The site should have a mobile-friendly design, fresh, authentic search engine, optimized content with clear goals, and a dynamic and exciting site design having the potential to compete with the market leaders. Target audience. The target audiences mean the people who will be viewing the website. When it comes to attracting the target audiences, an important question is, do you know who the target audience is? If the answer is no, you're missing an important step while planning the website. You should know about the target audiences. The guidelines regarding your target audiences could be: is the target audience male or female? For example, the website for a female-oriented product could be different than one for a male-oriented product. What does the age group of your target audience? For example, the website for kids brand could be different than one for an adult's brand. What are the demographic details of the target audience? For example, the website for people from rural area could be different than one for people from an urban area. Once you know what the goals are and who the target audiences will be, you will be able to decide the theme of your website. Proper web hosting knowledge is essential to publish and manage your website online. Web hosting is an online service that provides you with a secure plan to store and access your content on the internet. The place where your contents are stored is called a server. Hosting is a cloud-based third-party service that provides you with a viable online presence by reducing the local storage costs. They provide you with a web address or domain in their browser. These hosting service providers also offer modern technologies and services. A website hosting service allows you to create your email ID, the way website access through the internet, and the website creation tool support. So, in a sentence, you can publish your website online with the support of the website hosting services cost efficiently and grow your visitors. Some of the most used web hosting service providers are Hostinger, HostGator, HostWinds, DreamHost, Namecheap, etc. A sitemap is the outline of elements where you provide information about your website contents. It is a connection between web pages and website content that precisely shows your relationship between them. Proper linking between the pages and the contents of a website helps in better navigation and gives a smooth user experience. It also helps the search engines to find, crawl, and index a website. A sitemap tells Google about your site's most relevant page and the most critical elements. Without a sitemap, Google bots will be unable to rank your website in the search results in the website ranking list. Types of sitemap. So there are basically 4 main types of sitemap. Let's see what are those. First, normal XML sitemap. The most common type of sitemap is used generally everywhere to create a sitemap. The XML sitemap that links to the different pages on our website. So we paste or we write our whole code, not a code, actually we can say a URL in a XML file, and we pass that XML file to the search engine. So this is, in this example, I am showing here that is a local host. HTTP localhost. This is my sitemap file and this is generated on sitemap index. This is the sitemap index and this is my sitemap portal. http://localhost/wp_svn. This is my host name, and this is my XML file, and in that XML file I write my pages and URL, a full URL of my web pages or content of my web pages, and after that I submit this file to the search engine, from which a search engine search the content, or whenever any other users are searching for the specific data. If this data match with this content, then it will show directly to that user. It will help us to rank up our site also in a SEO, that is search engine optimization also. Sitemap plays very important role. So next part is video sitemap. Suppose we have a website that contains a large or number of videos. So it helps Google to understand video content on your web pages. So we can set the sitemap according to the video also, to help Google to find those videos or contents of a specific video. Next, image XML sitemap. Like videos, if we have a number of rich media like images and we are going search number of images or one image, that is the specific, so we can search that image using the sitemap. Again the same method. The sitemap will help us or will help the Google to search the specific image from our website. Why? Because we have a number of images in our web pages or website. So we want to find a specific image, then if we add that sitemap to the search engine, then it will help Google to find that index by image, by its index. That's why we use image XML sitemap. Next, news sitemap. News sitemap helps Google to find content on site that are approved by Google News. So this is important part. If the news is approved by Google, then the news can show in our search result with the help of sitemap. So these are the types of sitemaps. Last but not least, you need to think about the business or publicity or hits that your website should attract. There are a number of ways in which you can increase the visitors to your website. Some of these are: A. Submit your URL to various popular search engines. B. Submit your site to special indexes that list services in categories. C. Make your site good for the search engines, so that it is displayed at the top of the list when a related search is done. This involves choosing the right keywords and adjusting your page title, meta tags, and first paragraph. D. Consider paying for hits. The good news about listing in the search engines and indexes is that it's free. The bad news is that you don't have much control. There are several places that can provide you with well-targeted traffic for a fixed amount of visitors. Some of the favorites are Yahoo Search Marketing and Google AdWords. Once that you created the website and people know about it, the target audiences would definitely visit the site. You should be able to know about the people visiting your website. Google is offering a service in which you will be able to view and analyze the visitors of your website. It is known as Google Analytics. Google Analytics helps you to track the users who are visiting your website. It provides information such as the pages visited, the time spent on a page, the browser used, the country that user resides, etc. It also displays a weekly graph or chart which helps you to analyze whether the website is underperforming. You can refer to the link http://www.google.com/analytics/ for more details. Time management is one of the most important aspects of website planning. Once you have decided how exactly the website should look, the next step is to decide how much time will it take to finish. Just like the mind map gives you an idea of how your website is to be constructed, the time management gives you an idea of when the website will be completed. A timeline is a sequence of related events arranged in chronological order and displayed along a line. You may use a timeline to plan the time that would be required to complete various steps in the process of building your website. The timeline is created in the form of flowchart. The information from the mind map is placed in the order timeline. For example, you may plan your work day-wise or week-wise depending upon how big your website is. The timeline is like the construction of the house. You start with the base or the foundation and then move on. Sometimes it might happen that you might create very beautiful layouts and designs or prepare a really cool navigation system. However, as you go on building the site, you may realize that you have missed out some of the pages. This would result in rework and wastage of time. Usually, a timeline with the time required for all tasks planned in advance will reduce your problems. It will also show you exactly where you stand in the construction of the website and hence will help you to complete your site on time. Let's see how to create a timeline for your website. It could vary according to the theme of your website and from person to person. You could calculate the time required for an activity in terms of hours. For example, you might need 2 hours to complete one page. If your website contains 10 pages, the calculation is 2 hours per page into 10 is equal to 20 hours. Suppose you require 3 days of 8 hours for creating the logo, symbol, layout and choosing some color schemes, etc. So the total estimated time is 20 hours plus 3 days into 8 hours is equal to 44 hours totally. This is an hour-wise planning. Similarly, you could think in terms of weeks. For example, in the first week you may decide your theme and make sketches. In the second week you may decide how many pages are appropriate and what would be the color scheme. In the third week you may gather the content, images, animations required and so on. This is a weekly plan. You can even create a daily plan. The first 2 days you could just think about how will you design your pages according to the theme decided. In the following days you might make some sketches and finalize some things if you feel they suit the theme and so on. In this manner, you can decide how to create your timeline based on the theme, number of pages, color scheme, designing logo symbol, content, etc. required for your website. It's a good practice to analyze the time you'll be spending for your website. According to the time management theory, you must have decided the time to be spent on the research for the content of the website. This research includes collecting all the information, images, videos, sounds, etc. When you have discussed the requirements regarding the product, service, organization, its history and clientele, your client must have provided some supportive material. If the information and images received are not sufficient to put on the website, you can either use books or search on the internet. Some informational websites like Wikipedia will help you gather the required information. If you need images for the website and you don't have original photographs available, you can use stock photos from some websites like photos.com, shutterstock.com, istock.com. For more references, search for other related sites. You may need some vector graphics also for the website. You can use vector graphics from some websites like vectorstock.com, freevectors.net. Other than these, various sites are available. In the same way, to download sounds and effects, few websites are available. You can refer to some of the websites like downloadsoundeffects.com, partnersinrhyme.com, onesoundeffects.com. To add GIF animations in the website, you can refer websites like animationfactory.com. This is not the only option. You can use other available websites as well for downloading GIF animations.
Let's suppose we are a B2B company and we have lots of clients. They call us or we call them for project discussions. Will you be able to get in touch with the client if asked to do so?
Yes, I will be able to do that. Client discussion is a crucial part of a project in order to complete it seamlessly.